Hello, my love. Welcome to the show. This episode is all about trying to find clarity when you are in that messy middle or you feel stuck. I know this feeling very well. I went through this a few times in my life. It was during those periods of time where I was either in a gestation period or I was in a transition, but I wasn't even aware that I was in a transition. So I had these internal nudges like I was supposed to do something else. There was more for me, but I couldn't place it because it didn't feel very logical at the time. Sometimes when you are happy in your life and you get this feeling, not necessarily unhappiness, but this feeling like there's something more out there for you, or something just feels misaligned, it's confusing because you don't understand why, if you love your job, or if you love your home, or if you love your lifestyle, you have this feeling, this internal nudge that something doesn't feel right. And that's how it felt for me. It felt completely illogical. I didn't really understand it. So what I want to walk you through today is how you can identify what is keeping you stuck so that you can break through that barrier. The very first thing I want you to do, if you have a pen and paper, this might be useful because you can take notes. But if not, just kind of go through the motions in your head and really listen to this and absorb this with me and try to digest it and think on it, like really spend time on this. But the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself, and you can write this down, if I continued on this path for the next 10 years, would I be happy? If you were living the way you are living today, every single day, day in and day out, would you feel a sense of fulfillment or accomplishment? Would you be joyful, happy? Do you feel like that's truly aligned with you? It's important to be really honest with yourself when you answer this, taking all the external factors out of the equation and really just going internally and asking yourself, would I be happy if I continued down this path for the next 10 years? When we visualize the future, that is a good indication of if that future looks happy and joyful and aligned with us, or if that scares us, if there is something we want to change now. And a lot of times it doesn't feel logical because sometimes that indicator says, I'm in the wrong job, or I'm going to school for the wrong thing and I've spent all this time and money and now I'm afraid of the judgment if I switch career paths. Or maybe you're in a relationship that feels misaligned. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you or the career or the school or the person. It just means that those things are not in alignment with you. I think that was one of the hardest lessons of my life, is being truly vulnerable and honest with myself with complete neutrality, so no judgment, and saying, am I really happy right now? Is this going to make me happy in 10 years? 2.5 years ago, when I was at the height of my business, I started getting anxiety, and it was suffering. Like, really, I couldn't function at work, and I was the business owner. I was the CEO. I had clients. So I couldn't just give up everything right away. And the feeling I had internally was completely because I was misaligned. I didn't know it at the time, but my body actually wanted to do something else. And if I had not listened to that feeling, I would have continued to force a company that would eventually came crumbling down around me. Because when you are working from dysregulation, so that inauthenticity, that misalignment, it has a shelf life. There is an expiration date because our bodies can't sustain that level of stress indefinitely. It destroys your immune system. You live in this state of chronic stress, this fight or flight. It ruins everything, and then it causes you to overthink, get analysis paralysis. You start to doubt all of your decisions. You start to go into fear. So it's really important to be honest with yourself when you're dissecting this question and get to the root of what you really want in 10 years. I'm not big into visualization, but scientifically they do have studies that have proven that if you actually visualize something, like you go through the motions, you're actually creating that muscle memory. You're actually creating that emotion. So it's actually benefiting you. And I love that concept of visualization. And I love the idea that visualization gives you a good indicator of what you want because you either feel truly aligned and it feels really good or it doesn't. So, from that perspective, I love visualization. I don't like it in the context that it's been misused to represent manifestation because I don't believe that you can just think about something and it's going to appear. So, I don't want to misconstrue what I mean in the context of visualization. However, for this example, when you are thinking about your life in 10 years and you're visualizing what that looks like, you have something on your timeline. So if you just close your eyes with me for a second, I want you to imagine every single day waking up, what your house looks like, who's in your home. Do you have a family? Who do you live with? Do you live alone? Do you live with a friend? And I want you to picture the job that you go to every day. What does that look like? And how does it feel? Like, really feel the sensations of the emotions you're going to experience. And what do your extracurricular activities look like? How do you spend your days for fun? What is your lifestyle? What do you eat? Where do you travel? How do you work out? What are you doing? Now you can open your eyes with me. You can continue down that path and really visualize all the different things. But when you close your eyes and you get to the core of what that looks like, if you are not taking small steps today to live in alignment with that version of you, then you will always feel stuck. You will always feel complacent and you will always think that there is something more because you're not actually putting yourself in the position to achieve the actual thing that you want in 10 years. And it doesn't have to be 10 years. I like to think about the long-term goal because sometimes it's really hard when we haven't started taking these first initial steps into the embodiment of that version of us to actually see what 1 year, 2 years, 3 years is going to look like. But it's easier to visualize it in 10 years because it gives you a realistic timeline. But if you know anything about manifestation, like authentic manifestation that I teach in my 3-week money manifestation challenge, then you know that you can collapse timelines and this 10 years can become 1 year. So all of the things that you want can actually happen in the time frame that you want. You just have to get full body alignment, full clarity in the vision of you that you see in the future. So really take time to assess that and work through that because a lot of times if you're feeling stuck, it's because you're not authentically being true to the person that you see yourself becoming, or even the person that you are now. If you're making choices to people please, if you're doing things because it's comfortable, you're forcing yourself to stay stuck. The only way we can actually grow is to change, is to evolve, is to transform. And that's scary sometimes because we love knowing how things are going to work out. We love knowing it's all going to be perfect. It's going to be safe. We would rather have a plan A, no plan B, and stick with one plan forever. But life doesn't always happen that way. And unfortunately, sometimes you get thrown sort of a curveball in life, a dark night of the soul, an ego death, and all of a sudden, your life just gets pulled out underneath you. It's like the rug just gets pulled out underneath you, and you feel completely scared and vulnerable and lost, and you feel weak and powerless. And it's because you weren't prepared, because you never thought that you would have to operate from plan B, because you actually never took the time to ask yourself, why am I feeling this sensation of being stuck? Why do I feel the need to do something else? You never actually got clear about the clarity in the vision that you had for yourself. And I say this with love because I was that person. Unfortunately, I waited until I experienced anxiety to make the choice to shift instead of just making the choice immediately when I felt that this was misaligned. So what I don't want to happen for you is for you to not look internally, not make the choice, not shift, not find clarity, not see your visualization. I want you to have a choice in your life because when things get taken from you abruptly, it's a lot harder to work from that prefrontal cortex and go into solution mode. Because at that point, you're completely in fear mode, sometimes in victim mode, and sometimes extremely vulnerable. When you hit rock bottom and you are not prepared for that level of discomfort, it will wake you up in either a really good way that transforms your life or it'll bring you further down. And you don't want to go further down. We want to keep going up. We want to ride the wave. So I want you to really embrace where you are now and get to the root of that question. And the second thing I want you to ask yourself, if you're lacking any clarity in your life, in any chapter of your life, if you feel lost, if you feel scared, if you feel confused, if you're overthinking everything, I want you to ask yourself, if nobody mattered, if I didn't have to make decisions predicated on anybody, not my spouse, not my best friend, not my employer, not my audience if you own a business, not my children if you have kids, if I didn't have to take anybody else into consideration, how would I show up today as my most authentic self? What would I do differently? And be honest, like really, really honest with yourself. If you need to take space every day from your children for 15 minutes, or you need to post specific content for your business that feels truly good to you because that's your authentic voice, or you need to tell your spouse that, hey, listen, I need this today to feel good. Like, so I'm working at this job, but I need to go back to school, or I want to start this business, whatever it is. You have to be truly, truly authentic to yourself, because when we are not authentic, we are completely out of alignment. We can't people please. In fact, I have an entire podcast on this. My podcast is Create the Flow by Monika Freeman. You can check it out. It's also on YouTube. This is a perfect place to start to understand people pleasing, because we don't even realize the severity of people pleasing. Do you know that when you are people pleasing, you are choosing other people over yourself? So you start to create either suppressed emotions because you become resentful, or repressed emotions over time that you just shove down and you didn't even know you shoved down because you keep making yourself available to other people. And after time, those emotions compressed inside your body affect your nervous system and your immune system, and things start to shut down. We start to develop ailments, chronic stress, diseases. This is really toxic behavior, all because we're living inauthentically. So it's not just choosing to make authentic choices because you're lacking clarity and you feel lost or stuck or confused. This is to live a life of vitality, longevity, to really have the opportunity to become this version of yourself who's not stuck, who has full clarity and embodiment. So take these questions really seriously to heart and know that this is how you change your life. This is how you transform your life. This is how you actually get out of being stuck. And again, I say all of this with love because I've been every variation of all the things I share on my podcast, on my Instagram, on my YouTube. I've been all of these women at different chapters of this life. I've experienced so much. And it's not for me to judge you. It's for me to help you, help guide you, to lend you a hand and show you the path that I found. I want to share a story. 2.5 years ago, I was making 6-figure months. There was a time when I dreamt of that feeling, thinking that that was going to make me feel comfortable and secure, that life was all of a sudden going to be great because I was making so much money. That's when I started suffering with anxiety. That's when I started living inauthentically because I kept choosing a business and clients that were misaligned with me. And that's when I made the choice to give everything up to start over. And for 1.5 years, I didn't make any money. And I don't say that to brag that I was making 6-figure months or that I was able to build a business for 1.5 years without making any money. I say that because I took a chance on myself. I started over. I rebuilt from the bottom. And during that 1.5 years when I wasn't making any money, and this is really what I want you to hear, I have never felt more aligned, more at peace, or more authentic. And that has carried over now into the business that I built. I feel so good internally. And it's because I took the time to do what I'm asking you to do. I took the time to really find clarity in myself and the person I was becoming because, like I shared, we all evolve, we all grow, we transform. In order to find change in your life, you have to do those things, and they are uncomfortable. It's not very comfortable when you're not making money for a year and a half and you're starting over and you're working through anxiety and you gave up everything that was working and you're starting to doubt, is this ever going to work? When is it going to happen? You don't know what's next. That is a scary place to be. But I promise you, what's scarier is living in a situation where you are suffering doing something that you hate every day that is slowly killing you and you know it. All because you are comfortable, because you're making just enough money to feel safe, because you have a job that feeds your ego, because you have clients who are paying you every day, who are showing up, who are validating how great you are. None of that matters. None of that is important. That is all ego driven. Authenticity is not driven from your ego. It's aligned with your soul. It's what you truly feel internally. And it's not something to be judged. It's something to be celebrated. It's something to lean into. So if you did get out that pen and paper and take notes, really get to the core of those two questions and understand who you're becoming. And give yourself love, like give yourself a big hug. I love to hug myself because it feels good to love me. It feels good not to be judging me. And I hope it feels good not to judge yourself. We spend a lot of time criticizing ourselves, putting ourselves down, wondering what everybody on the external world is thinking of us. It doesn't matter what they're thinking of us because the energy that we radiate, it is magnetic. And the last and the third thing that I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, if I made one small choice today to change something that doesn't feel good, what would it be? And I want you to keep it small. It's really easy to get in over our heads and have this grandiose idea like, I'm going to work out 2 hours today because it's my first day back to my fitness routine or my health routine. It's my first day back to the gym in like 2 years. So I'm going to go hard and show my body I can do this. That's also the death of consistency. Consistency is just showing up with small steps every day. I made a promise to myself 3 years ago that I would work out every day, because I chose to do 20 minutes. That was my commitment to myself. And when I actually started this, I chose to do anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes every day. That's all I wanted to do, 5 and 20 minutes. It was a commitment when I started doing yoga because I wasn't really good at yoga at the time. So I didn't really like flowing on the yoga mat. I didn't like the pain and discomfort that came from stretching and being in those poses. So I told myself, let's just start with 5 to 20 minutes every day. And then fast forward to now, I made it a priority to do it at least 20 minutes every day. There are days when I do it for 45 minutes or 60 minutes or 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. I have been consistent with that, and there's not one day that goes by that I miss it because it makes me feel good, and I am a firm believer that it's small little micro actions that make grandiose changes. And that's how we are going to change. So today, if you could take one small step toward finding that version of you that feels authentically aligned, that has clarity, that does not overthink, that's not judging themselves, that's not confused, that's not in the lack mindset. If you could just step out of that, like disassociate from yourself for a second, just pretend that you're standing on the outside of you and you're having a conversation with yourself and ask yourself, what is one thing that would make you really happy today? Anything. Is it to maybe write the very first page of a book that you've been dreaming about? Is it looking into travel that you've always wanted to take so you can create a visualization so you can start planning for a trip? Is it that you want to switch careers? Maybe you want to go on LinkedIn and just start looking at what jobs are out there. Without pressure. There's no pressure. That's the beautiful thing about these micro actions, is you're just assessing something that feels good to you. Do you want to start dating again? Do you want to put yourself out there? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to open that conversation up with your partner? What is something that feels aligned to you? The more you start having this conversation, this dialogue with yourself, the more you actually build clarity. Clarity, in short, is really just tapping into your intuition. It is really decluttering all the external noise and hearing yourself think, hearing what your true, authentic self wants. And that's why manifestation is so powerful for the people who are actually manifesting, because they have cut out all the noise and they have succinct their energy and their actions with the universe, and they manifest. They bring tangible outcomes to their real life. And that's also why meditation is powerful. Meditation is such a beautiful exercise because even if you cannot stop all the noise, it's a little challenging if you're new to meditation. It's really challenging to just sit in silence. But if you start sitting in silence every day and just start asking yourself in the silence, what makes me feel good? What do I want to feel like? Why do I keep having these thoughts? Start having slow, honest conversations with yourself until all of a sudden you tap into the intuition and you're not even speaking these questions to yourself. There's no dialogue anymore. You're literally just hearing your body speak to you. It's a trial and error process. We don't just start meditating for the first time today and all of a sudden all the external noise is removed and we just tap into our body. It can happen that quickly. It doesn't always happen that quickly. You might fall asleep listening to a meditation. You might just feel relaxed. You might reset your nervous system. And all of that is great practice because that's where you start to really get close to that intuition. That's when you start to feel safe enough to hear your intuition. So today, use these 3 questions to really get clear about who you're becoming. Find that clarity. Step out of that confusion. Understand who you see yourself being in 10 years from now. That version of you already exists. And it is so much closer than you think. But you have to release the fear, the scarcity, the lack, the doubt, the worry that is keeping you stuck, that is keeping you playing small. You have to stop overthinking every decision and really lean into your decisions. You know, I have this philosophy, this thought, I should say, that I have been living with my whole life, is that the people who make decisions and just move forward are more successful than anybody else because they are taking action. The people who think about it too long, they are just staying in a constant loop. They're never going to get out of that loop. They will always feel stuck. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make the right choice, but you're going to learn a lesson if you don't, and that's going to lead you to the right choice, or that's going to become something comfortable. Do you know how many things I have failed at in order to succeed? Quite a lot. I would honestly go as far to say that I failed at more than I've succeeded at. But what I've succeeded at was so great, was so big and life-changing that even though the quantity may be fewer, the reality, the win, the life, the lesson was far greater. So today I just want to really motivate and inspire you to get out of this place of feeling stuck. Get out of self-sabotage, get out of victim mode, get out of this lack mindset. Step into this empowered version of you, this new, amazing, I've got that. Because you do have this. You've already got that. It's already on your timeline. You just have to accept it. And you do that by working through each one of these questions, by making sure that you are living truly, authentically aligned with you, by challenging yourself every day without judgment. I love you so much. I hope this resonated and everything is possible for you. I will see you on the next one.